Roman Reigns just put a ticking clock on the entire situation with Jey Uso, so we'll see what's new there. We'll also check out what's going on with Edge and much more. Let's start things off with the latest on Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Life is pretty much stressful right now for Roman Reigns. Not only is he dealing with Cody Rhodes and failing to get inside of Cody's head, Roman is also dealing with the situation going on with Jey Uso, who hasn't really been on board with the Bloodline since the Royal Rumble. So after Roman finished exchanging words with Cody Rhodes, all of his attention shifted back over to the Jey Uso and Sami Zayn situation. The Bloodline is seen backstage, and Roman asked Jimmy for an update on Jey Uso. Jimmy once again keeps trying to buy some more time for his brother. Jimmy tells Roman with a smile on his face that Jey is just the hothead and how he needs a little more time to get it right. Jimmy explains to Roman that Jey is getting better and better as the days go on. Roman Reigns says that he's running out of patience, not with Jey, but with Jimmy. So Jimmy heads off to make another phone call to Jey Uso, which takes place off screen. Jimmy comes back and tells a little lie to Roman. Jimmy tells Roman that Jey allegedly said that he just needs a little more time, but Jimmy quickly corrects himself and says that Jey's real message for Roman was to leave him the hell alone. Roman then begins his vintage tactics of manipulation. Roman says that he can't believe Jey would do this to him after everything he did for Jey. But Roman quickly corrects himself and says he can't believe Jey would do this to them after everything they did together for him. So just another one of those Roman classic ways of attempting to manipulate everyone around him and turn them all against Jey. Jey right now is just taking a stand against Roman Reigns. He has no issues with his brothers, Jimmy and Solo, but Roman Reigns wants to manipulate Jimmy and Solo into believing that Jey has turned his backs on them as well, so that Jimmy and Solo will stay by Roman's side and won't leave him to join Jey's rebellion. And this is also where Roman Reigns raised the stakes once again. Roman tells Jimmy Uso that if they fully take out Sami Zayn from WWE, then this will clear Jey's conflicted mind, and that Jey will come back home to the Bloodline if there's no more Sami Zayn. So Jimmy Uso heads out to the ring to complete those orders from Roman Reigns. Once Jimmy leaves, Roman has a private conversation with Paul Heyman. Roman says that Jey Uso has 1 week to show up and be back in the Bloodline. If Jey isn't back in 1 week, Roman says he will no longer blame Sami Zayn and will now blame Jimmy Uso instead. So Roman's comments definitely appear to be threatening, at least for Jimmy Uso. But the crazy part is that Jimmy obviously wasn't in the room when Roman made these remarks. So Jimmy is completely in the dark about what will happen if Jey doesn't show up in 1 week. So if Jey isn't there, who knows what Roman will do to Jimmy. And if you go back to where Jey Uso showed up to defend the tag team titles with Jimmy Uso, Jey said some lines that may reveal if he'll show up or not. After that successful title defense, Jey said that he'll always be there for Jimmy Uso, no matter what's going on. So knowing just how well Jey cares about his brother and how he's willing to do anything for him, Jey will most definitely show up to Smackdown next week in order to save Jimmy Uso. Jey Uso was at home, which means he probably saw Roman's threat on Jimmy. Or maybe Paul Heyman delivered Jey the warning off screen as well. But now that Roman has basically threatened Jimmy Uso, this leaves Jey Uso with no other choice but to show up and have this confrontation with Roman Reigns. So you gotta give credit to Roman Reigns. It's a genius way to force Jey Uso out of his little hiatus and take back control. Roman is pretty much telling Jey that if he doesn't show up next week, your brother will pay the price. The part where Roman's plan will fall apart is if Jey actually doesn't show up. Would Roman then just attack Jimmy Uso and kick him out of the Bloodline? Roman would then go from losing 1 member to losing 2 Bloodline members. So in that sense, maybe it won't be smart because Roman would literally be down to just having Solo Sikoa by his side. But it won't get to that point. Judging by everything Jey has said over the last few weeks, When it comes to something involving his brother, he will be there for him no matter what. So Jey will most likely show up, and then we'll have to see what the next part of Roman's plan will be. Maybe Roman Reigns won't attack or harm Jimmy in any way, since Jey showed up. But you just have to assume that Roman isn't letting Jey completely off the leash and wiping the slate clean after everything Jey has done since Royal Rumble. Roman will most likely make Jey Uso pay for his recent actions in some crazy way that puts Jey back in line, at least for a little bit of time. If the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn really take place at WrestleMania, fans still think that maybe Roman's punishment for Jey Uso would be for him to fully take out Sami Zayn. Everyone in the Bloodline laid their hands on Sami Zayn at the Royal Rumble for that moment of betrayal except Jey Uso. So maybe Roman will make Jey attack Sami Zayn in order to make things right for what went down at Royal Rumble. Putting hands on Sami Zayn would be the best way for Roman to forgive Jey Uso and bring him back in. So that's what fans expect to happen there, but Jey Uso should definitely show up to save his brother, no doubt about it. We'll see what ends up happening there between Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. WWE has just announced that they will be returning to Toronto for a live edition of Friday Night Smackdown on August 18th. This has fans flipping out and talking about Edge's final match taking place on this edition of Smackdown, because that's what Edge announced in summer 2022. Edge said that he'd love to perform in Toronto and how he would be wrapping up his career in Toronto when WWE returns there in summer 2023. And now that August 18th has been announced as the summer 2023 Toronto date, WWE fans are looking at this edition of SmackDown to where we'll possibly see Edge's final WWE match take place at. Edge was asked about his retirement plans and if they changed during the Elimination Chamber press conference, but he danced around the question and didn't really give a straight answer. So as far as the fans are concerned, and if Edge didn't change his mind, August 18th could end up being Edge's final night inside the WWE ring as a competitor. So if this is still the plan, if this is what Edge still has in his mind, then Edge's in-ring career only has less than 5 months left. Hopefully Edge's farewell tour is amazing. Hopefully there's some great last-second dream matches along the way. Of course, the question of who should be Edge's final opponent will continue to grow as the date gets closer as well. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.